Hello everyone, welcome. I hope everyone is having a good day. If you are not familiar with who I am Brianna. I am the founder of this group and I help teen girls and young women and anxiety, depression, self-loathing, self-harm, suicidal thoughts, eating disorders so that they can really step into their confidence, their power, and start loving themselves. So haven't done a Facebook Live. I don't know if I did one last week. It's been really busy over here, but I wanted to pop on and do this Facebook Live. So if you are joining me live, let me know you are here. You can just type in below live. If you are watching the replay, go ahead and just type in replay, just so I know that I'm not here alone, that people are actually watching. So anyways, what I want to talk about today, and I think this is really an important topic, is why therapy isn't working for your daughter. So if therapy is working for your daughter, then you don't need to watch this, okay? If it's working, then you don't need to watch this Facebook Live, because I don't need comments saying like, oh my God, therapy is doing amazing for my daughter. If that's you, then this is not a Facebook Live for you. I am specifically talking to those parents who are, you're sending your daughter to therapy and she's been going for a while and it's just not working. Maybe you've sent your daughter to several therapists and maybe this has been ongoing for months, if not years, trying to go to different therapists, hoping that, one of them is going to be the right fix, the right thing that is going to work for your daughter. Okay, so I want to talk about this because there's a couple different pieces to this and why therapy may not be working for your daughter. So here's one thing that I want to mention right now. So if therapy is not working for your daughter, here's one of the reasons why that might be the case. So I speak to girls and young women every single day, and here's what I hear over and over and over again. It kind of sounds like a broken record, right? Here's the thing that I hear. It feels like a venting session where it's good to get things off my chest. This is what I hear from girls and young women, right? When I ask them about therapy, they say it feels good to get things off my chest. It's kind of feeling like a venting session though, where I'm just talking about my week and I'm not actually making any progress. I hear that more times than I can count, okay? Now here's the thing that we have to look at about that, right? Of course, anyone who's gonna get things off their chest is gonna feel good, especially for your daughter if she's been holding on to a lot of stuff, if she's suppressing stuff, pushing down her emotions, of course, it's going to feel good for someone to offer her a space where she can feel heard and accepted and validated for her feelings, all of the things, right? So that's great. And I want to say one thing, you guys, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with giving your daughter a safe space to open up, be vulnerable, have someone hold space for her. That's all great, okay? There's nothing bad, there's nothing wrong with any of that. But here's what we have to take a look at. Is just doing that getting your daughter to where she wants to be? And is it getting your daughter to where you want your daughter to be? That is what we have to take a look at. Because just talking about our problems and venting and talking about the week and friendship drama and anxiety and depression and panic attacks, just talking about it doesn't fix it, doesn't change it, doesn't create a different story for your daughter. That is what we have to take a look at, okay? So if it's not changing and you guys know, look, you know if therapy is working or not. It doesn't take a genius to figure that one out, right? Just look at what you are doing for your daughter. If your daughter is already in therapy and she has been going for several months, she's seen different therapists. Let's say she's been going for years. Let's say she's been seeing the same therapist for 4 years, 5 years. She loves the therapist. She's like, oh my God, this therapist, she's amazing. I feel so good with her. She lets me open up. She lets me be vulnerable. All those things are so great and so positive, and that's fantastic if your daughter has that. But here's not what's this doesn't make sense. Hold on, let me say it in a different way. What is not so great If your daughter has that and she's not making progress in her life, that means something is missing from therapy. Here's what's missing, okay? Your daughter has to go beyond just the venting phase, okay? Your daughter has to go beyond just getting some things off her chest to feel better, okay? It has to go beyond that if your daughter is truly wanting to transform her life. Now, some people go to therapy and they just want a few changes, a few little tweaks here and there. And that's not what I do with my girls and young women that work with me. We're talking full life transformation, not just over the course of 12 weeks, which my program is a 12-week program. We're talking about life transformation for the rest of their lives. This is different, right? So if your daughter goes into therapy because she just wants a little change here, a little tweak here, a little, little something here and there, fine. Maybe she'll get that, right? But if you are wanting your daughter to have a full-on transformation, now your daughter has to want that too. Can't just be what you want. Your daughter has to want that too. Chances are she's not getting that in therapy, right? And if she is, then I already said this at the beginning of this Facebook Live, then this Facebook Live is not for you. If your daughter's getting everything out of therapy, then, you don't have to keep watching this. But I am talking to those parents who you are taking your daughter to therapy and it feels like you're spinning your wheels because you're trying everything and you're just not seeing the change and transformation that you would have expected for your daughter to be in therapy for this long, and things are just not clicking. They are not coming into place. Maybe your daughter is getting worse. She's not getting better. And you're like, what the hell is going on? What are they doing in therapy? Why isn't this working? We've tried X amount of therapists. I've had so many parents come to me and say, they're like, we've tried so many therapists. We've, 5 different therapists over the years and nothing is working. So here's what we want to take a look at, right? Just, again, going back to what I said, just venting. Your daughter just sharing her feelings and her emotions is important, but is not going to be the thing that's going to change her whole entire life. It just won't. What I hear very often when I'm speaking to girls and young women is this: I need an action plan. Somebody tell me what the hell I am supposed to do to change my life. Because here's the thing, when they're just venting and talking about what's not working, where's the action plan to actually change their lives, right? You don't get that by just continuing to talk about the problems. And here's another thing that doesn't really work. When you're just focusing on the problems, guess what you get? More problems. Goes back to simple law of attraction. What we focus on grows and expands. So if your daughter has therapy once a week and 1 hour every week, she's talking about problem, and they're not getting into the solution. They're not getting into how do we change this? How do we turn this around? How can you show up in a different way? Guess what? Week by week by week is gonna go, and it's gonna keep going problem. Nothing's gonna change. Why? Because your daughter keeps focusing on all the problems and she's not getting out of it. Here's another thing that I want to say. Most times in therapy, your daughter is not learning how to shift her mindset. This is a big problem. Why is this a big problem? Here we go with this. I'm going to take, for example, I just had was it yesterday? No, I think it was 2 days ago. I enrolled a young woman into my program, and it was yesterday. The weeks fly by for me, I swear. It was yesterday. I enrolled a new girl into my program, and she's been struggling with lack of motivation, which I know most of your daughters, they're all struggling with the lack of motivation. That goes hand in hand with depression as well. But it's the lack of motivation, the self-sabotage, getting in her own way, not doing the things that she knows that she needs to do to better her life, to better herself. And she keeps doing the same thing, like the avoidance, not sending out those emails for school, not doing the things that she needs to do, right? And she's been doing therapy for, I think she said 4 to 5 years, okay? That's a long time. She loves her therapist, right? So this is not anything against her therapist, but we have to look at what is not working to get the solution for your daughter. So here's what I told this girl who is now enrolled in my program. I said this, you can go to therapy you've been doing it for 5 years, you love your therapist, that's all great and fine and everything, but here's what's missing. You're not working on your beliefs. Why are you in avoidance? Why are you self-sabotaging? Why are you getting in your own way where you can't send out that email, you can't go do this thing, you can't go apply to college, you can't do all of these things because there's something that is blocking you, and it is your belief system. This is the thing that is not being addressed in therapy. I will say it's maybe being addressed in therapy, but they're not focusing on it to the degree that it needs to be focused on in order for your daughter to change her life. Your daughter's beliefs create her reality, okay? This is just a fact. Your daughter's beliefs create her reality. So if your daughter has a belief that's way back there in the subconscious mind that says she is not worthy of going away to college, she is not deserving, she is not enough. If she has all of those beliefs back here, well, what do you think is going to happen? She's going to continue to self-sabotage herself over and over and over and over again. So she can keep talking about her problems week after week with the therapist, but unless they are actually going deep enough to get to the belief system that has created all of the self-sabotage in the first place, guess what's going to happen? Nothing is going to change. I told this to the girl yesterday who's now in my program, and she said I blew her mind. Explaining this to her. She was like, oh my God, you're blowing my mind. I said, I know, it's crazy, right? So this is the stuff that needs to shift. It's not just your daughter venting that is only gonna get her so far. Your daughter has to have a totally different mindset shift. She has to start changing the way that she thinks. She has to start changing her beliefs, right? This is typically the stuff that is not done in therapy. It's just not, okay? So this is something that definitely needs to change. The other thing that I want to talk about as well is this whole validating feelings. I have some girls that expect when they come into my program that this is therapy, and I'm like, I gotta remind them, like, look, this is not therapy, so we are not here to validate feelings. So one of the things why therapy may not be working for your daughter is because here's what happens. When your daughter goes into therapy, she's talking about her stuff and her issues and the this and the that and all of the things, right? And she's getting a lot of validation for that. Oh, that must be really hard, you poor thing. I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm not saying any of that is wrong, okay? Not saying it's wrong, but here's what it's not doing to help your daughter. Validating your daughter's stuckness is not exactly gonna get her to the life that she wants to live, because validating is keeping her stuck in her trauma and her pain, in the wounds and all of that self-limiting bullshit that she says to herself every single day. So here's what we want to do. We want to get your daughter out of that and get her over here, which is focusing on what she really wants. And so what we do in my program is I challenge these girls' beliefs. I challenge their thinking. So I'm not validating them. I'm not saying, oh, you poor thing, it must be really bad that you went through that. Now, it's not to say that I am not sympathetic. I bring tons of compassion. I bring tons of love to everything that I do with the girls and young women that I work with. That is key with everything that I do. But I will say this, your daughter does not need more validation. It keeps her stuck. What your daughter needs is someone to challenge her beliefs, to challenge her thinking, challenge the way that she has been showing up in her life. Hold on one second. Sorry, getting a text. Your daughter needs someone to challenge her way of thinking, because her way of thinking has gotten her to where she is right now. It's not helping her, it's not serving her, right? So the validation piece is not really what your daughter needs. That's what she wants, because it makes her feel good and warm and cozy and like, oh, yes, somebody gets me. It doesn't help your daughter change, though. It really doesn't. It doesn't help your daughter transform her life. It really doesn't. It keeps her stuck in the trauma, in the pain, in the inability to move forward in her life. So what is needed is somebody to shift somebody to help her shift her way of thinking. And that is what we do in my program, right? So I also want to talk about, I think those are the main things. It's not working on the beliefs. It's focusing on, oh, I remember there's one other thing that I also want to mention, which is this. So in therapy, if we're going to talk about talk therapy, it's a lot of talking, right? Talk, 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 talk. I'm doing talking right now. This is how we're having a conversation, right? This is how I'm doing my Facebook Live. I'm talking. Nothing wrong with talking, but if your daughter actually wants to like heal from her past, and she wants to heal from her trauma, she wants to heal from the pain that she's been through in her life, she's gonna have to do a little bit more than talking, okay? So what happens is when your daughter has, over the years, she's suppressed so much emotions, she's suppressed the trauma, she's suppressed the pain, she's pushed it down, pushed it down, pushed it down. She's got anger inside of her that she doesn't even know is there. She's got trauma that is inside of her body that she doesn't even know is there. It gets stuck in the body. And here's the thing that happens with therapy. Therapy is just in the intellectual mind, right? But your daughter has to move beyond the intellectual mind if she's actually going to do the real healing work. Healing work is in the body, not just in the mind. We got to go in the body. And a lot of your daughters who are struggling with, PTSD and suicidal thoughts and self-harming and really bad anxiety and depression and panic attacks and all of the things, their body has become a real unsafe place. It's really unsafe, or at least it feels that way. It feels really unsafe to feel their feelings, and they want to escape, they want to run, they want to hide. They don't want to feel that shit that's going on inside of them. It's scary, right? And so again, going back to therapy, what is therapy doing? Okay, again, it's a lot of talking, but when we're actually talking about healing is a whole new level that a lot of your girls have not even experienced yet. That is a whole new thing where your daughter is actually getting into her body to start feeling so she can actually start releasing the stuff that is buried inside of her. Again, trauma gets lodged in the body. Okay? Suppressed emotions, they get lodged in the body. Painful experiences, that shit gets lodged in the body. And so if your daughter isn't actually doing the healing work to get into the body to release that, which is not done in therapy, because therapy, again, is going back to its talk therapy. It doesn't move into the body. But if you look at this on a holistic approach, it's mind, body, soul, right? It's like all together. That in combination is what is going to give your daughter a huge transformation. We're not just working with the mind. What about the body? What about the soul, or what about the spirit, right? We got to bring this all together. And this is the one reason why the girls in my program have such a huge transformation, is because we're combining all three components. We're not just staying in the intellectual mind. That will only get your daughter so far. She's got to move actually in her body, right? For those of your daughters who are having panic attacks that are in a state of fight or flight, and they're just like, there's so much PTSD inside of them, there's so much trauma inside of them, they need to come back into their body so that they can regulate their nervous system and almost like be a space where this feels safe, right? Again, this isn't accomplished just by talking. Your daughter has to go deeper than that. This is not being done in therapy, not talk therapy, okay? But it is being done in my program because this is what we do every day, all day. So I'm going to have to run. I do have my grad program, so we have a group coaching session in 5 minutes, so I'm going to have to run for that. But if anyone has questions, leave them below. If you have not watched my masterclass, it's a free masterclass. It's called Healing, the New Medicine for Anxiety and Depression. I will leave that below. Definitely watch that. And if your daughter is wanting the help and you are serious about getting your daughter the help so that she can transform her life, set up a call with me and we'll see if this is a fit for us to work together, right? That is the one thing that I do require. Your daughter has to want the help. If she doesn't want the help, then I'm not the person to work with her, right? She has to want to change her life. So if that is your daughter and if you are committed to make that happen, reach out to me. You can private message me. You can watch my masterclass and we can take it from there. So with that, you know, if your daughter is struggling, please know that there is hope. It doesn't have to be like doom and gloom for the rest of her life. I've helped so many girls change and transform their lives. it is incredible what I have seen. Also, it was so great because one of my clients who graduated from my program like I don't know, maybe like 6 or 7 months ago, and she's a young woman and she was dealing with anxiety and depression and panic attacks and suicidal thoughts, and she was just, I mean, her mental health was at an all-time low, and she had a massive transformation. And it was her birthday yesterday, and so she did a post on Facebook, and it was so sweet because she thanked me. She was like, "Thank you, Brianna Colwyn, because without you, I don't think I would be here today." You know, she also thanked her religion and her faith. But you know, the work that she did in this program is so powerful that even graduating, like she graduated from it, 6 or 7 months ago, and she is still doing amazing and feeling incredible. And I'm just like, this is the stuff that I love. Like, I love this more than anything because we're not talking about a quick fix. We're not talking about just giving your daughter a little prescription of something that's just gonna make everything poof. Like, your daughter has to do the work. She has to be committed to change her life. If she is, she can have a radical transformation, and it doesn't take that long because my program is 3 short months, and I've seen massive transformation from the girls and young women that work with me because we mean business. When they come into my program, we're not messing around anymore, right? And they feel it and they sense that and they know that. They're like, oh shit, this is the real deal. So if you want the real deal and if you want a real transformation for your daughter and not just, you know, just talking about her problems and it's not really getting anywhere, then reach out to me, set up a call. We'll see if this is the right fit. Okay, I'm gonna leave you guys all for now. Have an amazing day. Love you all. Bye.